It's time. It is time for you to go from feeling scared to be alone to becoming clear on who you are and free from those relationship attachments. If you're in the thick of a breakup right now and you're still checking your phone and you're still thinking about him on loop and you're still wondering, what if I won't be able to find better? Then this video is for you. Because today we're going to talk about how to detach, how to build strength from within, and how to create a life of abundance and love, whether they are in our life or if they're not. And this is why this method that I'm going to talk about is so much more effective than just moving on or going no contact. So let's begin. Hi, I'm Callie, and this is the Self-Worth channel where we talk week after week about everything self-worth, how to become your most liberated magnetic self from within, and we use the power of neuroscience and the power of energy to rewire our brain and to raise our energetic frequency so we attract better, we become more magnetic. It's super important that you subscribe because that is what helps other women like you to see these videos, and it helps push this content out into YouTube. And that's what's going to help push this content out to women who might just need to hear these messages, to let them know that this breakup is not a reflection of your worth, but instead it is a wake-up call to rise into the occasion and this opportunity to become this version of yourself who no longer tolerates breadcrumbs. This breakup is the beginning of finding yourself, your true self, your voice, your power, and your peace. So if you're ready to do that, keep watching. I've got 3 steps for you today on how to do that. Okay, so I help women go from being scared to be alone to clear on who they are and liberated from the painful attachments in relationships that can happen. And I love what I do, and I'm so proud of all the women in the community. So today, let's talk about how we're going to detach from him and create a new life of abundance and love. So almost every woman I've talked to, and I have talked to hundreds of women at this point, all of them say some version of, what if I don't find somebody else? What if I'm making a big mistake? I know he's not good for me, but I just can't seem to let go. And if that's you, like this video or comment below. I get it though, because I've been there too. This makes sense to me, and that's because the brain's biggest fear is abandonment of familiarity. Here's what's really happening. Your subconscious is wired to associate attachment with familiarity. So even when the relationship hurt, it was familiar. And the brain loves familiarity. Even if it's painful, it likes to stay comfortable. So the idea of letting go doesn't just feel sad, it actually feels terrifying. Like you're floating in space and there's nothing to anchor you down into the earth. So you just feel like when you let go of that, who am I? What am I? What is my worth? I've been tying my worth to somebody else my whole life, so I don't know what to do. And it feels incredibly scary and terrifying. And this is why the real detachment, the first step in that, is not to just cut him off or just move on, or let's just like throw ourselves into this withdrawal like we do with drugs. Let's just throw ourselves in there. If we were to do that, it would be as painful or worse than going off of drugs. Because what's happening is we don't have any tools. We're just going into no contact and hoping for the best. How are we supposed to improve? How are we supposed to get better? There's no love rehab clinic that we're walking into. And so today we're going to talk about what to actually do to rebuild your self-worth so you have the ability to see yourself for your worth in this moment. And the first step is really safety. The first step is creating safety inside of your body, because right now when you leave, you don't feel safe. So we need to introduce safety into the nervous system, into the brain, without that symbol, him, without the symbol that this person is your safety net, that you need to start to cultivate that from within, whether you're with them right now or not. You need to do it in the body and the mind, so you're not clinging to an external source just because your nervous system is going haywire. So when we cling, what we're saying is that we're not worthy of being held in our own state, that we are not worthy of being held on our own. And ultimately, the best way to kind of understand where our safety lies is to ask, what is this pattern of clinging onto attachment and familiarity and anchoring onto an external source? What is it costing you emotionally, relationally, professionally? Because it's costing all of us something. The minute we can start to realize that we have this window of time where we can start to change our state, become safe within ourselves, so that we're no longer suffering at the expense of all of these different areas of our lives, that's when we start to feel motivated to start. So then the question is, how do you detach successfully? Okay, so I'm gonna list 3 steps, and these 3 steps are gonna be short, clear, and simple, so that you have a sounding board to just kind of go off, and you can just start with these 3 small steps. Step 1, like I said, safety. So how do we create safety? You can't think clearly when your body is in panic mode, bottom line. You just can't. So this is where somatic practices come into play. This is where we can start to utilize somatic practices. Rather than trying to create safety through the brain, we're going to use a different entry point. Things like breath work, intentional movement, tapping on meridian points of the body, dancing, literally placing your hands on your heart, hugging. There's so many different modalities that are somatic that help us to signal that we are safe to the brain, because we can't dig in and figure out what's going on back there and rewire it when we don't feel safe. We need to tell the nervous system, I'm safe, I'm not being abandoned, I'm choosing myself here, we're okay. When's the last time you've done that for yourself? So this is step 1. It's step 1. In the self-worth system, in my system, my community of women, we do all of this and more, and we focus specifically on somatic release practices before digging into the deeper visualization and reprogramming work. And that's specifically because starting with movement indicates safety to explore beliefs that keep us holding on. So when you start to regulate your nervous system physically, you're sending a new message to your subconscious when you're not with them, saying, I can be alone. I can still be okay, and I don't need chaos to be alive. You're saying I can create peace right now, and I have the power to do it. I'm okay. That's a starting point in being able to rewire these old wounds, this old programming that we have that's basically telling us this belief system of I'm not enough and I need them in order to feel whole. That is what makes you strong enough to walk away, and not just from him. It's not like we're walking away from him. We're walking away from settling for less than what we deserve. So instead of ruminating on the underlying beliefs in the first step, we're not going to just figure out what it is that our core wound is and heal it. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to try somatically creating safety in the body first. And you can try dance. You can do self-hugging, you can try tapping, and then when we feel safe, we can start to explore the deeper questions we have for ourselves, like what got me here. Step 2 is connection. There's a lot of mixed messaging that happens and says, we heal in quiet, we heal on our own, we heal in isolation. Yeah, that's true. I can't heal you. You have to heal you. But we weren't meant to heal alone. And let me explain the nuance here. We need to feel self-empowerment. It's incredibly important. But when we heal in community, it can really light this ignition on for us. And often, we can feel ashamed for feeling anxious, for feeling attached. And so we don't really talk about it, and we try to just heal alone. And so many women tell me, I thought that I was the only one feeling this way. But the second they open up in a safe space, and that's why I do it in my self-worth community. It's literally a group of women all over the world that have had suffering in their life of going through a breakup. And their goal is to come out on the other side. It is one of vulnerability, but it's also one of strength. They start to see themselves not as broken, not as I'm the only one feeling this way, but as human, as an understanding that this feeling is part of the human condition. It's a part of being alive. And I can do something with that. And I want you to know from this video, because there's so many women that are not in the system, you might be feeling alone right now. I want you to know you're not weak, you're not alone, and you're going through something incredibly human. And the reason it's uncomfortable is because it's new. And what we're doing right now with this breakup is we're resisting these new lessons that we could have the potential to learn. So you can think of it as riding a bike. Like if you're a toddler and you're learning how to ride a bike for the first time. And I think of this because I have my 4-year-old riding a bike right now. And I've watched him get so frustrated. And that's because it's not easy. And we can get frustrated with the process of learning something new. When you go through heartbreak, it's like being on a bike, but 10 times more intense, because love is the most powerful emotion in the world. So give yourself some grace for that. Like, you're going through a breakup, you're literally going through the most powerful emotion in the world, and you're learning to process that, you're learning to rewire that, you're learning a new skill. This is what builds resilience, is going through the process, not going no contact and distracting yourself, not just going and finding somebody else to feel the wound. This same feeling happens when we learn anything new, and when we choose to resist the uncomfortable process of learning new things, then it's going to be worse. We're going to have more resistance, and it's going to be more painful. And a broken heart is something that we really tend to resist more, like I said, because love is just the strongest emotion in the world. So we really need a support system in place. This is where community comes in. This is when my son falls over on his bike and I sit there and I go, yes, this is really uncomfortable and this is really frustrating. And I know with practice, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. And then what does that do? He feels connected, he feels safe, he feels reignited, and he goes again. When you're surrounded by people who are going through a similar situation, what's happening is your ups and downs are all kind of a different time. So you can support each other by saying, oh, I just did this, and you're inspiring each other to get back up on that bike and try again. What that's doing is it's reflecting strength back into you, into your identity. And then that identity of who you are starts to become authentic and starts to shift into the real you, because people are seeing you for who you really are, not for who you're supposed to be externally validated. And at the end of the day, doing that and being in this community allows you to put your practice, your internal practice, into action. And you stop chasing love that feels like survival, because you know the feeling of being accepted for who you are. And then you start choosing love that feels like home. And step three is empowerment. This is where you take your power back. This is where you come into your own and you say, I'm ready. Because your subconscious has been running in the background, it's been running the show this whole time. But the beautiful thing about the brain is we can rewire it, we can reprogram it. We just haven't done that yet. And it takes two things to actually reprogram the brain once we have our safety, once we have our community to help us. We need to have an intense emotion and repetition. The repetition of the intense emotion creates a memory block in the brain, which says this is important, I'm going to focus on this. It overrides the old belief system. I remember I had a headlight that was out of my car and I knew it was out, so I just started focusing on all of the cars that had one headlight. It's the same thing. When we program our brain to only seek abundance, to seek value, to seek worthiness, we start to look for that, and that comes back to us. We're no longer looking for the people who are going to validate us. We naturally shift up. And that's what I mean by energetic frequency. Once you feel safe and supported, you're ready to do the deeper work. And that is number 3. That's when you're empowered. That's when you feel like I can do this. Even if I'm not motivated, I know I can. And this is when you start repeating new beliefs. You make it a part of your lifestyle, and then you start investing in your healing. Showing up for yourself on purpose is the key to transformation. This is where everything changes, and it's where you learn to do this within yourself without needing anyone else. But ironically, that's when you end up attracting the people that are going to treat you well in your life. Essentially, these 3 steps allow you to feel like you're no longer the woman that begs for breadcrumbs. That you're the woman who knows her worth, that she literally energetically vibrates that, and she doesn't settle. And what's going to happen once we realize that? We no longer are going to be exposed to situations that are trying to teach us a lesson, because we've already learned it. So we've leveled up. That's when real aligned love comes our way. That's when it starts to find you. So if you've been stuck in a loop and you're wondering why you can't just let go, if you're wondering how you're going to be able to break free, I hope this humanizes the experience for you. And I hope it helps you realize that it's not you that's broken. It's a part of the human experience. And I hope that this helped you see that it's not about effort. It's about setting up the right environment where rewiring can actually happen. When you feel safe, when you feel connected, and when you feel empowered, your life begins to transform. And if you're ready to go deeper, I would love to guide you. I would love to give you the opportunity to join the community of women that are doing this every day in the self-worth system. So comment heal, DM me, book a call with me. I've got resources and community spaces waiting for you. This is exactly what I do. It's what I'm immersed in. And with community, energetics, and repetition, you will create your own transformative reality. And if you enjoyed this video and you think that it might help other women, please hit that subscribe button below so that YouTube knows that this is a good video to share outwards to other women, give them information that they need in order to become their most magnetic, liberated self from within. I hope you take these tools with you into practice and let me know how this has changed you or how this is going to help you. And if you have any ideas of what it is that you want me to talk about next, just send me a message. I'm happy to hear and I'm happy to share. Let's build an empire of self-worth together and become a magnet to abundance, love, and liberation.